All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 14th, 2022 City Council meeting. First of all, I just want to say happy Valentine's Day to everybody out in our viewing audience, and I'm just going to give a little hooday shout out and say congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals. They had just a spectacular season, and it was just so fun to watch them this year. I'm really looking forward to next year. And as you can see, we had some winners of our contests that were going on this week that we were doing at the community center and throughout town in celebration of the Bengals wins through the this past season. So we will be talking about those in just a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to ask for, I'm calling the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Councilmember Chance.
Here.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Present.
Councilmember Hackey.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Stricula.
Here.
Mayor Spaeth.
Here. Okay, I'm going to ask for us to stand for prayer by Chaplain Kyle Linville, and then we will do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's pray. God, we thank you for the blessings that we have as a community. I pray that you'll give us grateful hearts and eyes to see your good in our lives. I ask for your blessing on the meeting tonight. Give the council members wisdom and humility to lead well. I pray for insight as they make decisions. Bless them and their families and give them peace. We pray for our community. We pray for our first responders. Protect them as they put themselves in harm's way in order to protect our community. Keep them safe as they serve. I pray that you'll be honored by the meeting tonight. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have item 5, and I need a motion to approve the minutes from the January 24th council meeting and the January 24th council work session, please.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, we are to item 6, which is the city manager's report. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. Just have a couple of items.
Uh-oh. Okay.
All right.
Absolutely. Are we ready? As you can see, our entire community got on board to help celebrate the Bengals win. So I think that was very much fun. Fun to see those. Eric, would you continue, I guess?
No, I'm a little worried too. Maybe we could have the referee come up, maybe get a photo of him with the mayor.
Oh,
of that.
okay. Do you want to do the entire council? Let's do the entire council. Come on.
I'm hoping if you pose with the referee with the photo, then he won't interrupt the meeting again.
It's basketball, not football, though.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and continue with that. Obviously, there was a lot of spirit the past couple of weeks in Mason, and the city has tried to capitalize on that, and thought the slideshow would give you a little bit of a flavor. Employees, others enjoyed meeting with members of the community, saw folks out at senior centers, schools, the community center, and there was just a ton of enthusiasm that greeted them. So appreciate that. We also had a couple of contests as part of that. The intent there was both to build on that spirit as well as congratulate some of our community members and work with some of our downtown businesses to try and generate even more enthusiasm for some of the things the city does well. And what we'd like to do is read through, and I don't know that any of them here are in the audience, but we had a series of winners of a couple of contests. You'll see in front of here the baskets, and I'll quickly read through the names of each of the baskets and who won that. If you're in the audience, you can only get your prize if you raise your hand and come up here. And should mention, as we go through these, several of the items here were donated by some of our downtown businesses, Symbiosis at the Community Center. The first one, starting at the left, is called Happy Game Day, and the winner was Ayush Pai. Then it's Weekend Get a... Oh.
Are you here?
Ayush?
Oh.
Wow.
Very good.
Second here is Weekend Getaway, Nicole Stanford. Nicole's here too. I should mention the way these prizes, members of the community center received a raffle ticket every day they came, and then were put into a raffle for each of the gift baskets. So Nicole and Ayush must have been frequent visitors to the community center. Third is the Bengal Cub package, Carter Mel. Is Carter here? Next is Bengals Road Trip, Beth Culp. Is Beth here? Next is the Mason Bengal T-shirt and gift card. This was donated by, and I forget their name, Cincinnati Team Apparel. And that was Garrett Yoder. Next was donated by Mims Off Main, one of our downtown businesses, Kristen Altieri. Okay. The next one was donated by Moss and Ivy, another downtown business, Denise Brown. Denise is here. Next is Orange and Black Fashionista. The winner was Rhonda Peschel. Who Day on the Go, Brian Napier. Bengals Game Night, Ann Pellet. Okay. Then there were also 4 winners of the same type of basket, Tailgate Takeover. This included one of our now high-in-demand City of Mason Bengals T-shirts, as well as a $100 Come Together gift card. And what those gift cards, they are exclusive to participating Mason businesses. I have a list of over 70 different locations in Mason, the majority of them small businesses and a good number of them within the downtown. Moss and Ivy is one, Mims Off Main. I'm afraid to name the others because I might get in trouble for singling them out. But we have 4 winners of this package: Sandra Wost, John Camino, Emily Payne, and Ben Thaman. Okay, fortunately, their gift cards can be emailed to them, and we'll hold those T-shirts until they can come pick them up. The last list here is for a different program we ran. You may have noticed out here one of those bins for canned goods. Folks that brought in canned goods for the Sam Hubbard Foundation. We chose the Sam Hubbard Foundation. Sam is one of the Bengals. He's also the grandson of our former law director, Ken Schneider. So we like to think we kind of watched Sam grow up here. There are 5 gift cards here for $100 for the Come Together Mason program. Carolyn Avondo. Is Carolyn here? Karen Ryan. Amanda Smith. Amanda's here. Next is Marcia Giles. And then the next one here, I can tell he's not here because I know him. He also sits on our Board of Veterans Affairs. That's Roger Herron. So congratulations to Roger. We know where he's at. We'll get his card to him. And then the last one here, I think, is a record setter. It's another Come Together Mason gift card for $560. So $560 in honor of the 56th Super Bowl. And the winner of that is Marcin Frilek. Okay, we may have to split that up here if Marcin doesn't claim it. Again, that's $560 at Mason businesses through the Come Together gift card program. I want to thank all of the folks that participated, both for the generosity in the canned food drive, as well as their support of the City of Mason, the Community Center, and I guess the Bengals too. Everything else pales in comparison. City offices are closed next Monday, February 21st, in observance of President's Day. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Eric. And again, I want to thank all of the staff for putting all this together. I know they have a good time trying to think of fun things for us to do in the city and to get all of our community members involved. And I know they spent a lot of time putting these gifts together as well. So thank you all very, very much. You've made it very fun celebrating the Bengals. Okay, so next on our agenda, I believe, is item number 7, which is recognition of visitors. We don't have a sign-up sheet tonight, but I'm going to ask if I don't know that it'll be necessary, but did any council member want to make a motion to limit the time on the public input as far as how long we'll listen to recognition of visitors or how long they can speak? Does anybody want to make a motion, or we'll just leave it at 5 minutes and see how it goes? Everybody's okay with that? Okay, all right, very good. So anyone here would like to get up and speak? Okay, I guess I'm going to call on the pretty young lady in front first because I kind of know her, so give her, yes, go to the podium. If you would, please state your name and your address, please.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Spurlock, and I grew up in Mason, but I currently live in Lawrenceville, Georgia. I'm back in town, however, because I work for Live and Learn. Some of you may be familiar with the company, but I'm the U.S. Programs Manager. And this week, I'm back in town helping to present at the schools about some opportunities for the students in our community and in the surrounding communities. I'm actually a former Live and Learn student as well. So we take students to Spain and France to try to make language learning real. And then we also bring Spanish students here in the summer for them to practice their English. So in 2016, I embarked on a journey to Spain with Live and Learn. It was, I guess, not my first time, but one of my first times out of the country alone, and I got to spend a week traveling around Spain and then a week with a host family in Madrid, and I'm still very good friends with that Spanish sister and with my host family. And the following summer, I pressured my mom over there, Mayor Spaeth, to let me host, and she finally let me host. And so we got to host a Spanish student named Esther for about a month in July, and it was the time of my life, and we're still friends as well. And Councilmember Grossman, your daughter traveled with us, right? Okay, and did you guys host as well? Okay, so didn't have a chance to host, but traveled. So council's got a little legacy up here with Live and Learn. But I wanted to come and talk to you guys about the opportunity to host this summer. We are actively looking for host families in the Cincinnati area. So what that would entail is if you have a student between the ages of 13 to 18 years old, we will match them with a Spanish student the same age, gender, and with similar interests as them. And you can host for 1 to 4 weeks in July. It is technically free to participate. The only things you have to provide are their food and then their transportation. But we also provide group activities multiple times a week, and the American student and the Spanish student get to attend for free, and sometimes the families as well on certain activities. But we do things like the Reds game, FC Cincinnati, going swimming, going to main event, going canoeing, all kinds of things. It's a jam-packed month, and it's so much fun. You create lasting connections, and truly you get a little piece of Spain in your home. And I'm sure, as you guys can attest, these connections really do last a long time. A lot of our families end up going on to visit their Spanish students in Spain years later or months later, and it really changes lives. So that's why I came back to work for Live and Learn, and I wanted to come while I was in town just to spread the word about that. So if you're interested, be sure to check out our website, liveandlearn.com. So that's L-I-V-E, the letter N, learn.com, liveandlearn.com. And you'll find the host family application there as well as more information. So thank you guys so much. I really hope that you will host with us this summer.
Okay, thank you. And I'll have to be honest, I did encourage her to come and speak tonight because she's visiting the schools this week in Mason, and I just said this would be a great way to get the word out even more through the city of Mason, because I can attest this is a wonderful program. When Tori came back from Spain, she was almost fluent, and she ended up majoring in Spanish in college, and the young lady that we hosted, we became really good friends with, and actually my husband and I went to Spain and visited her parents, and it is just such a worthwhile program. So I'm thank you for coming up and talking about the program. Is there anyone else that wants to get up and speak tonight? Yes. If you will please come to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Charlotte Hagan. I live at 5836 Running Fox Lane in Mason, and I'm here tonight related to your Women Walking West service agreement that's on the agenda as item 2022-09. First, I find it inappropriate for council to determine for me what constitutes a worthy charity, cause, or social endeavor, and to keep using my tax dollars to support the same ones repeatedly. In particularly, I strongly object to Women Walking West, where the financial support is earmarked for international female college students to pay for their tuition, their costs, and their fees. There's no way that this is something that I would personally give money to, so for the city to do that, I find highly inappropriate. My state taxes are already going to support Ohio colleges and universities who do give money and support in the form of scholarships. They'll also go for health care, social networking programs. Secondly, it's also inappropriate to consistently suspend the rules and vote on issues. The rules are there so that you and the community can reflect on the issues at hand. Kudos to the council member who prevented the rubber stamping of this renewal at the meeting in January. They asked for financial committee review. At the January 10th meeting, the amount of the financial support actually going to the Focus Women was questioned as low for 2019, which was pre-COVID. I found that the organization Women Walking West is not evaluated by Charity Navigation because it has only filed one IRS Form 990. It sounded like we have been supporting them since 2019. I find that inappropriate and a red flag. I do know that the Finance Committee looked at that information and I hope has more information tonight. Regarding the service agreements, it's basic that any organization not meeting its part of the agreement should have the contract terminated, and certainly it should not be renewed. If a 2-to-1 fund match is in the service agreement, then we should only be allocating those funds and we should be monitoring that. The learning communities that Women Walking West identifies on its homepage should be self-sustaining by now. How many colleges and universities are there? Those are things that are already in some of the universities. Are you aware that UC has a program for international students to be paired with a student to help them incorporate into college life, socialize, receive help with everything they need, including getting a driver's license? I would be shocked to find that other universities do not have similar programs. Mentoring and assistance for these volunteers to provide is laudable and is their choice, but as I said, I do not want my tax dollars going to pay for international students' college costs and tuitions. Lastly, you had in the proposal that diversity-style training for city customer service staff I feel should not be tied to the service agreement. I'd be surprised if we don't have some sort of a diversity agreement already. And finally, also in Ordinance 2022-09, $1,000 for community center membership is included. I find that very confusing because that only pays for one person for a year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else would like to get up and speak? Okay, yes. Please state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Ellen Todia. My address is 3770 East Surrey Court, Rocky River, Ohio, although Mason is my hometown. I'm the president of Western Row Land Developers and very happy to be with you all tonight. I wanted to just take a moment to thank the city administrative team, Eric Hansen, Michelle Blair, Joe Riegelsberger, Steve Hartke, Kurt Seiler, and Brian Laser in particular, for all your hard work, your creativity, and your dedication in helping Western Row and our partners bring our project to this point. We truly appreciate the public-private partnerships that have been set up over about the past 3 or 4 years now. And on behalf of our development team, Tom Humes is here tonight on behalf of Traditions Group, and Mark Davis is here. He's our hotel developer. And my family, on behalf of them as well, I can say confidently we are all very much looking forward to our continued partnership with the city. And we look forward to seeing you all at upcoming celebrations for our project, from groundbreakings to grand openings. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to get up and say anything? Yes, please come to the podium, state your name and address, please. There will be a public hearing if you want to wait and speak then for that, yes. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I think we're ready to move on to item 8, which is Resolution 2022-3. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Is there okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, anyone opposed? No. Okay, Eric?
Proclaiming February as Heart Health Literacy Month in Mason.
I think you're going to discuss this one.
I can. Actually, I'd like to invite Michelle Blair to come up. We have been celebrating this month for several years now. It gives us an opportunity both to combine our culture of wellness as well as some of our progress in economic development with some biohealth startups. So, Michelle.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. There's a lot of competition for exciting things this evening. So, heart health, however, is pretty exciting. This is the second year that the city has designated via resolution. February is Heart Health Literacy Month. I don't know if this is too loud, but and one thing that makes that pretty special is it follows the course where we, through economic development efforts, have put a lot of effort into recruiting companies, in particular science and innovation companies. We happen to have some pretty fantastic cardiac-related companies here. 2016, Geneticists we brought to the city, and in 2014, AtriCure. But what really makes celebrating Heart Health Literacy Month different is that we're able to take some of those innovations from those companies and open them up to the community and really help through the entire month, whether we're leveraging the community center, online, tutorial opportunities, materials through our social media and our website to really help the residents of the city of Mason have a deeper understanding of what heart health means. We had a short open house earlier this evening with Geneticists, which is one of our up-and-coming, fastest-growing startup companies. In fact, Geneticists was founded by Mason High School students in 2013. They moved away, went to college, went to upstate New York, and we were able to, through economic development efforts, recruit them back here in 2016. And they've been here for 5 years, and we expect a continued, somewhat exponential growth rate of job creation and investment, but also the continuation of an FDA approved diagnostic tool, medical device that helps us find better ways to target heart disease early. So that's one example of many. You might remember last year we had AtriCure here who is trying to eradicate AFib across the world, and that's happening in a global corporate headquarters right here. So I think the heart of economic development, that was a pun I did not intend, the heart of economic development really is to take innovation and share it with the community. That makes us stronger and better. And so throughout this month, we're going to be doing that. Certainly, there are a couple of memos in your council packet, and one is specifically about the background and history for some of our newer council members that are just trying to get up to speed on all the things, innovation things that are happening here. So with that, Eric, the resolution also has a lot of statistics around heart disease being the #1 killer of men and women. So I don't think I need to go into that unless you think it's necessary to go through any of that. So look for more information across the city of Mason about the things I just talked about, and also opening up the Geneticists CardioFlux technology to the entire community during this month. So does council have any questions?
Thank you. We appreciate it, Michelle. Do you have a question? Yes.
Yeah, it's more of a comment in regards to Geneticists. We did get an opportunity to, it's right here in this building, which I think is really cool that we have been able to partner. You talked about the public-private partnerships. I mean, we're housing a technology that I believe is going to transform the world. I mean, they were giving given us tours. I've actually been in it, and it shows, it can read, I encourage you to get on there, because I'm gonna goober this thing up, because I'm not a cardiologist by any means, but it can read and give you in 5 minutes what sometimes takes 48 hours for doctors to discover and give you triage. And instead of, if you get there past 5 p.m., a lot of times is, the cardiologists aren't there, or they'll have to, and there's a set standard of pay and everything else. And this thing is just expediting and saving lives. I mean, and it's one of those things, and it's right here in this building. And I think that is something that the city of Mason does extremely well with the public-private partnerships, and to be able to see this company launch and the money that it's been able to raise to do that, and then to see the success with, well, they have 5 different locations now, a couple in Texas, one in North Carolina.
In hospitals, yes.
Hospitals. So I would just encourage all of you to get on and understand, and if they're opening up the doors to come in and get scanned, I would certainly do that, because I think it's going to be something you might be able to tell your kids, your grandkids, and say, I saw where that was first started. So, and extremely impressive. The young men and women that run that company is just, I mean, you sit down and you talk to them, and you can understand why they're making these machines. And so it's incredible, and I would just encourage the city to get in there and check out that technology. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have a question for Michelle or any council member? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I think, are you done, Eric, with what you were? Okay. All right. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading, please.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, anyone opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, I just wanted to make a comment as well and just say, I really encourage everyone to take an opportunity when it does become available to take the test that Councilmember Chance was talking about. I mean, heart health is so very important. At age 45, I started struggling with high blood pressure and continue to struggle with that. And I've also had a heart ablation because I suffer from heart arrhythmias. And so everyone can have heart issues at any time, and especially women. I shouldn't say especially women, but they have different symptoms than men and don't always know when they may be on the verge of a heart attack or a stroke. So I encourage everyone to listen to your heart and make sure that you take care of it, because I think it is so very, very important. And with that, if anyone else has anything else they want to say, okay, I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item 9, Ordinance 2021-102, motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Eric?
An ordinance to repeal, amend, and add various sections and chapters of the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, and to amend the zoning map, regarding downtown Mason zoning.
Okay, I think you're also going to discuss it.
Yes, just briefly, Mayor, Council has discussed this on several occasions. It was initially tabled to the December 13th meeting when newly elected council members had just been sworn in. It was then tabled to this meeting, February 14th, with a work session being held on this January 24th. There was also a downtown committee meeting held January 20th to consider this. A discussion, I would say, centered mainly around timing rather than the particularities of the changes. So it was tabled ultimately to this month to this meeting for further action.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Sure.
Yes.
It's just an appropriate time. I'd like, being the chair of the downtown committee, I think last time we made a commitment to listen to our downtown business owners, just constituents in a whole. And I would like to, we did have one meeting, as city manager alluded to, on January 20th. We collected some information, but I think it would be prudent of us to table this until June, or June, I think, 13th. Is that our meeting date in June? Somewhere, just whatever the meeting date in June is, just to give our downtown committee a little more time to understand if this is the appropriate. I'd like to give major kudos to the group that went out and that's worked hard doing this, and I think we've mentioned it's about 90% where it needs to be, but I think we need to get a better understanding if this is the appropriate time to do this. So I would just like to make the motion to table this till the June 13th, I'm sorry. However, with a caveat, in the event that we have a downtown meeting, we can pull it off the table prior to that if we find that appropriate. So I'd like to make that motion, if that's appropriate right now.
All right.
Well, we'll get there.
I'll second the motion.
We need to go back and finish the motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading, and I think we had a motion, but we didn't have a second, correct? Do we need to finish that?
You should finish the motion to consider, and then the floor can be open for amendments. So you just have one more action. I don't know if Dan got a motion.
We had someone motion, but we didn't have a second.
Second.
Okay. So now we can consider Councilmember Chance's motion. Okay. Do you want to make that motion again then, please?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to table ordinance 2021-102 till our June 13th meeting.
Okay. Is there,
Can I make one suggestion? We sometimes have a summer schedule. If it's acceptable, council, maybe calling it a June meeting.
June meeting, that's
We'll make sure whatever meeting occurs in June.
sure.
okay. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is all in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now in the motion to adopt, and then we'll go to council discussion. So I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
And second?
Well,
Okay.
are we on the motion to table?
Yeah, but we'll get to council discussion and just, as soon as we have, I need a motion and a second on the motion to adopt.
I made the motion.
Did anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, now council discussion on Councilmember Chance's motion. Am I correct? Am I got it right? Okay. Yes.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. I'm curious, since we haven't been given a report on what the findings were from the committee meeting, I was going to ask during council discussion if part of our discussion before we considered this would be to have a report from the committee. Normally it happens in a different part of the meeting, but since it's about this topic, would it be acceptable to consider the motion to table until after we get more details from the committee report? Because I don't really even know why they even want to table it until June and what they want to have time for. Would that be okay? If Member Chance could report more specifically, and then I might have a follow-up question.
Well, I think would it be okay for him to report now, your committee report? Would that
As
be
part of the
acceptable?
discussion,
Well-
the motion to table, so we have more specific information as to why you're making the motion.
Sure.
Thanks.
Well, I gave a committee report last meeting in regards to our January 20th meeting.
There hasn't been a meeting since then.
There was, yeah.
The downtown committee was held on January 20th. You then held a work session specific to this item on January 24th.
Yeah, so, I mean, the main reason why is, we had council turnover. Everyone on the downtown committee is new. There was a lot of moving parts with the discussions of downtown. We know that's been a hot topic, and I just think, again, it's just prudent for us, the new committee, new downtown, new council, to truly understand that this is the appropriate order, or, that we need to adopt this now without having a master plan. There are still some folks out there that, in the community, some of the business owners, some of the residents, I feel that need to be heard, and I'm making a commitment as the downtown committee is, we're going to listen to them. And that's, I think we haven't given that opportunity. We talked with the chamber and also with the MAID CDC to have them be able to present to us about some ideas on master plans and some other things that they see where there could be some partnerships between their organizations and the city. We haven't had that meeting. Sherry Taylor has been sick for the past couple weeks. I was hoping to have that meeting prior to, but we weren't able to do that. So that's going to be happening, I hope, within the next 2 weeks. So it's just one of those things. Tabling it is, it's just putting a pause on it and understanding if this is the appropriate way to do it now, or is there something that we can point to the zoning that we might have to change it. So more than anything, it's just we don't have enough information yet, I believe, in order to go ahead and pass this.
Okay, anyone else want to make a comment? Any other council member? Yes. Yes.
I have a few things, but as a follow-up question, if I may ask through the mayor to Member Chance, what are the expected deliverables to be given to council from the downtown committee and the Maid Chamber and/or CDC by the June council meeting?
Well, let me just say this. I think my understanding from the work session was there would be a meeting scheduled, as Councilmember Chance just alluded to, and I guess apparently Sherry Taylor, who's the head of the Maid Chamber, has been sick. So that meeting has not occurred. So I don't know that we can even answer this question. I think everyone wants this process to move forward. I can say this. My opinion is, as long as we don't have anyone from the downtown community that's involved in this rezoning or zoning, however you want to put it, coming up here and saying, we need you to do this immediately because you're affecting my business or you're affecting my home, I have no problem with us taking the time to have the meeting that was expected. I would certainly like to have that meeting. We haven't had any more discussion on it since then. So we don't really have anything else to make a decision on. There wasn't anything that has happened since then. So I'm just going to say I think it's appropriate for us to wait until at least that meeting happens. I think by Councilmember Chance saying we're going to wait until June, like he said, we can always come back and put it back on the agenda if the information is brought to, if we find out the information is brought to us and we can proceed and go ahead and vote on this zoning, if that makes any sense. I mean, am I understanding everything correctly from the meeting and what was happening at the work session?
That's a perfect explanation for me.
So I think
To your
that's where we
point,
are. I don't think there's a delay on purpose. It's just nothing's happened since the work session, unfortunately. Yes,
Okay, so I think one of the deliverables I may have potentially heard just now is that you're going to be looking at different master plans. And so my ask of the downtown committee and this council is that we have expectations set by June for reasonable expectations. We've been getting very vague feedback about not moving forward, but we haven't been given any specific criticism of the proposed zoning changes that were recommended by the Planning Commission. And the recommendation of the Planning Commission also unanimously was that we adopt the zoning changes first before moving forward with a master plan. But we keep getting delays, but no specifics, just vague terminology like we don't like your process, or we want more time, or we want to aggregate communication from the community, which we've been told was happening and being done by the MAID CDC since the summer of 2019. And so I'm concerned that we're going to go another 5 months here and we're not going to have any deliverables by June. So if I could suggest an amendment to the amendment informally, is that council report to us in 2 weeks after their next downtown committee meeting. Let's do that because it may not be in 2 weeks. If the downtown committee could meet and give us a list of deliverables by the next council meeting in February. Would that work?
I just want to say, Councilmember Grossman, I think that your expectations are absolutely right on. I mean, we're not going to let this just drag out. And I think we all want this to proceed as quickly as possible. I don't know that we need another motion on here. We should expect to have, when is the downtown committee meeting next? Is it already scheduled? It's this month, right? I mean,
it's scheduled.
Working to schedule one in coordination with the Maid Chamber.
Okay, so
So
that
the
would be
date is
this,
not
but this
confirmed.
month.
Yes.
So it
Would
may be
expect this
before the
month.
next council meeting. So we would have a report from that committee meeting.
The date's not set, but that certainly would be the ambition.
That's the expectation. Okay, so I think that we can, I certainly don't want this to drag on, and I don't think anyone else does either. We need, if we're going to make any progress with downtown, we can't let it go on, as you said. So I appreciate what you have said there, so I think we can expect that to happen.
And thank you for that feedback, Mayor. And I would just also ask of the downtown committee if it could really consider when they meet with, I'm assuming they're going to meet with CDC members or chamber members, that if it is the Maid Chamber CDC that wishes to aggregate the community input, which has been an ongoing process, and we've done a fair amount of that ourselves, I think it needs to be determined whether or not they have the capacity to do that. And if they don't, then my question is, why wouldn't we do that ourselves? We have that capability so that we can keep progressing and not lose more precious time. And I really appreciate that ability to communicate that with all of you today, Council.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, anyone else?
Mayor, just real
Yes.
quick. So I've been on the downtown committee for a while, and we had planners come into the downtown committee, and we were very impressed with a certain group of individuals that were planners that had great ideas for our downtown. And I think it's really important that we don't put the cart before the horse. We need to have the master plan and understand what we want before we can put zoning in place. Because once you change the zoning, it makes it difficult to go back and change it again. So that's kind of where we're coming from with this. And we're on a mission to really move forward because everything's been stalled for so many years. As we've known, our downtown really hasn't had any development. And we're dedicated and committed to making a change. So we're not going to stall by any means, but we really feel like we need the master plan to be in the works and start it before we really can start changing zoning.
Anyone else like to comment? No? Okay, well, I think we have to call roll call on Councilmember Chance's motion.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Okay, we're to items 10 and 11. We have Ordinance 2022-1. There's a public hearing and a second reading. So first I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, Eric? I think you're going to read.
Excuse me, I'm not used to this.
I'll just comment and say, as you can tell, we have a missing person here, and this is why Eric is filling in for him. Jeff Forbes, our law director, is not here this evening. There we go. Okay.
That last
here we go.
ordinance was long. Authorizing the city manager to enter into no.
We're right here.
Okay, I'm there now. Approval of a revised concept planned unit development plan for the Western Row PUD located at Western Row Road and Mason Montgomery Road.
Okay, thank you. Kurt, were you going to introduce Jordy?
Yeah, Jordy, our planner, can talk about this project much better than I can. So, Jordy, take it away.
Thanks, Kurt. Good evening, Council. I do have a presentation. I don't know if it will go up on the screen. But so this is a revised concept plan for the project that was announced towards the end of last year. And so it's a revised concept plan for about 70 acres of land on the corner of Mason Montgomery Road and Western Row Road. It's the former Western Row Golf Course. So this is the project in front of you. So there is a current concept plan on the books that was approved in December in 2012. And so that concept plan included the existing Alberta subdivision, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, and then proposed predominantly office building with some retail and restaurants. The concept plan in front of you today proposes 41 single-family homes, 28 courtyard townhomes, and another 57 townhomes. There's going to be approximately 260,000 square feet of office space. That's towards the southern end of the site, south of Veterans Parkway. And then the bulk of the site is about 94,000 square feet of retail restaurants anchored by the Dorothy Lane Market grocery store and a 5-star hotel. So this property is part of the Western Row sub-area development in our comprehensive plan. And so that identifies it really for business park and additional uses, including residential. But one of those secondary uses for a business park is for supportive retail services. And so that's what you're seeing in front of you. So Planning Commission at their January meeting recommended approval of the revised concept plan with the condition that the hotel, which is on the northwest corner here, be constructed primarily out of high-quality masonry materials. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions before we start the public hearing of council? Okay, so I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:51. And I'm going to ask if there's anyone from the audience that wanted to get up and speak either for or against this particular ordinance. Yes, please come to the podium and state your name and address, please. Or do you want one of us to hand out, or do you want to, yeah. You can.
Thank you so much. Yeah, there were no attachments to it, yeah. My name is Martin Schroeder, and I'm here on behalf of D. Schroeder for 4699 Western Row Road. Please make the following part of the record for Ordinance 2022-1, also known as Case PC 2021-44CP, Western Row Golf Course. I'm asking the City Council of Mason to protect and defend our property rights, quiet enjoyment, and quality of life that now exist at 4699 Western Row Road. Official Record 2314, page 661, 16-28-101-025, Trebronics LLC and surrounding areas. The approved comprehensive PUD in 2013-1 for Alberta Ordinance 2013-1 limited access to the PUD on the north and east side of the PUD to Freedom Way on Western Row side and Veterans Parkway across from Financial Way on Mason Montgomery Road side. Also in 2016, the Grove PC 2016-055 plans eliminating any access between Freedom Way and Mason Montgomery Road, as it would create a traffic problem according to your traffic survey. In the current plan, there is an extra street on Western Row Road across from Hope Church that would create a traffic and safety problem on Western Row. See your Exhibit D1, Public Street A. Please recommend elimination of additional exits and entrances on Western Row Road. See Attachment A, page 2, dated December 21st, 2016, from Liz Fields, Planning Consultant. The Alberta PUD limited buildings on Western Row, street side next to 4699 Western Row Road to one-story, low intensity with the setback of 75 feet on the east, west, and south side, which was established by Mason City Council on February 11th, 2013. See Attachment B, page 3, and also with the Grove at Western Row on December 21st, 2016 by Liz Fields of Mason Planning. See Attachment A, page 2. The current zoning on the west and south side next to 4699 Western Row is zoned mixed use, PUD. See Exhibit B2, page 45 of 57, Attachment C, Ordinance 2021-111, Exhibit A, of the purchase and sale agreement between Western Row Land Developers, Inc. and City of Mason, Ohio, and Traditions Development Group, LLC, which is not zoned R2 residential. Therefore, Chapter 1161, Planned Unit Development District, Section 1161.5, Peripheral Setbacks, Table 1161, PUD use is non-residential, but defined as mixed PUD mixed use. See Attachment D, Planning Commission Staff Report. And if adjacent to a residential district, 4699 Western Row, zoned R2, the setback is 75 feet. Please change the current setback from 40 feet to 75 feet as required by Mason Code 1161.5. One other concern is water runoff, drainage, and erosion prevention from this development, so we are asking for pine tree groupings and berms to control water runoff toward 4699 Western Row Road. Lastly, all prior plans limited total stories on any building to 2 stories to fit in with the surrounding area. Would like to see the hotel limited to 2 stories and moved near the grocery store due to excess traffic concerns on Western Row Road. Please help us preserve our quiet enjoyment of life we now have at 4699 Western Row Road. I would like to suggest that making the above changes would be an advantage to all concerned, as I would hate to think that the City of Mason is proceeding due to the fact that they are part of this development, which could be a conflict of interest. Please see Attachment E, paperwork that was submitted at the Planning Commission meeting and not included in their staff report. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. We pray that you defend all of our property rights and incorporate the above in Ordinance 2022-1 PUD Plan, aka Case PC 2021-044 CP. Thank you very much for your time.
Sir, can I just ask you, I believe this information was provided in our packets that we received prior to our council meeting. Was there anything new that we would not have gotten in our packet that you've read or anything you want to highlight? I just want to make sure we're...
I do not believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else would like to come up and speak? Okay. Okay. Please come up and state your name and your address, please.
I'm Esther Grubbs, 6422 Turnberry Court, and I just have a question. I'm a little behind on this. Are there any signed contracts for any of this development with anyone who will be in there, hotel, restaurant, Dorothy Lane? Are there signed contracts?
That's not part of the rezoning. It's not part of our consideration, so that's not something staff would review.
But you're rezoning it based on that.
Based on proposed uses, not based on contracts.
But, so if there's no hotel, so be it?
Then they would have to come back for a revised concept plan in the future if they couldn't get a hotel provider on board.
So it's up to the company to, they're saying, this is what we're going to provide, and then if they don't, they have to come back and revise. Is that what I'm understanding?
Right, so they've put together a plan that they believe they can market and that will work, and it's a positive plan for both the community as well as them. If they can't, for some reason, something was to happen to the market and they couldn't sell a particular product, they would come back for a revised concept PUD plan. Similar to what we've talked about tonight, there was an existing concept PUD plan already on the books. They're looking to revise that concept PUD plan tonight.
Was the financial stability of this, what's the name of it? I'm sorry, what's the name of it? The company who wants the change in Okay, so has their financial stability been established? That they can provide anything?
We've been in business for 45 years. We've developed...
Sir, if
Okay.
you can come to the podium, because we can't hear it, you can't get it recorded. If you're going to answer the question.
Okay.
Well, that's totally up to you.
I think it
Okay.
may help. When looking at zoning, there are some things that the city doesn't or can't consider, just like when you're looking at a neighborhood, we don't look at someone's ability to afford the house or who they are. They give us a plan. Council then determines within their zoning rules whether those proposed uses, not the tenants, not the financing, not the marketing, are appropriate to that area within our comprehensive and our zoning code.
Okay.
So some of your questions, there may be answers. They're not answers that go to the analysis here of
It's
what's
just, it's been a while since I've done anything with zoning, and okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Sir, did you want to come up and say something, please? State your name and your address, please.
My name's Tim Wilson. I'm speaking of 4711 Veterans Parkway, Mason, Ohio. I'm speaking on behalf of my wife and I. If I understand this project properly, that the section that's south of Veterans Parkway will be Mason City property. I think that's right. And that the development that goes north of that, of Veterans Parkway, is what was going to be developed with the Dorothy Lane and the hotel. I will be your next door neighbor. I live right on that house, right where that lake number 5 is depicted to be. My property is just right of that, right where the roundabout is. And I think that means that we'll be next door neighbors. So although there's a lot of hubbub about what's going on north of Veterans Parkway, my main concern of what's going to happen south of Veterans Parkway, because that's right where I live. So I do have a couple of points here, and I am concerned about what happens north of Veterans Parkway too. And we have attended some of the meetings that have been put on. We missed one meeting because we both got COVID-19, so we weren't able to get to that one. But I do have a couple questions. One is, when does the city of Mason want to develop the office park section? The reason I ask it that way is we heard that lake number 5, which is a retention pond. Lake number 5, I think I heard needs to be dug out first, and they're going to use that for fill and other places, right at the very beginning of the project. So my first question has to do with lake number 5. Will you own the property on where lake number 5 is going to be by the time that happens?
Yeah, I believe that's the intent, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so my second question related to that lake is, when that happens early on, who's going to take care of the property around the lake, like the grass? And right now, I mean, can there be berms put in next to my house? Because you're going to be around 20 feet from my quarter of my yard there. So I'd like to know what's going to happen with that walking path that's depicted around the lake. Are there going to be people mowing? Can trees be planted to make a separation between me and there's other houses right there near that corner? And those are kind of detailed questions. I don't know if those things have been worked out. I know you're worried about how big the hotel's going to be, not, are going to be trees planted near the lake. But that's a concern for me. So I guess the question is, when those things come up, will there be a chance to have input from people that live in Alberta?
Yeah, if I could answer that, Mayor. Yes. So the question about maintenance, it will be maintained. That's what I can tell you. A lot of those details are things that get worked out in the final PUD plan, final covenants and restrictions, and the design is not complete on that lake. So we've heard your concerns at the previous meetings. The setback is shown there for the use when it's residential against a commercial use. It's 75-foot setback. And so when the path gets designed, the pond gets designed, we'll have a lot more information for you. But certainly there'll be a landscape plan that's required in the final PUD stage. That will require the mounding and the landscaping that you're talking about, and the trees to be planted between those two uses. So those, like you said, very detailed questions that would be in the next stage of the project.
Okay, then how do we know when that gets done? Is there some sort of public announcement made?
Yep, it'll be on the Planning Commission agenda.
Okay.
For the final PUD plan. Yes.
Okay. Another question, it kind of ties into the height of the hotel, but only tangentially. That office building that's right next to the lake is 100 yards from my house. And right now, this plan, I think, is sort of half-baked, if I got the story right. You don't have specific plans on all this right now, what's happening south of Veterans Parkway. You just want to put a building there. If the hotel is rezoned, and if it can be 5 stories tall, which I'm not for, but if it can be, then can your office building be 5 stories right next to my house?
No, what that's showing is a 2-story office building. And that, like you said, is a concept, just a box showing approximately where a building could be located.
Right.
But the 2-story component of it is, I believe, as high as it would go. And
Okay.
Jordy, I don't know if you want to correct me on that.
Well, I'm talking about the zoning. In other words, when you're zoning 5 stories, does the zoning just go down to Veterans Parkway and you got different zoning south of Veterans Parkway?
No, so with a PUD, it's basically a customized zone. So what's shown on the plan is what would be permitted in concept phase.
Okay, I see.
So we generally show where buildings are, where parking areas are, where detention would be located, but the details of the actual footprint of the building aren't known. But the height of the building is something that's part of this concept PUD. So where you see the hotel, it says 5 stories on the plan.
Right.
That would permit 5 stories. Where it says 2-story for the office, that would permit 2 stories. So a change from that would come back to Planning Commission for their review,
You'd have to rezone that then.
potentially. If it's depends if it's a minor, considered a minor or major change to the PUD.
Okay.
Right.
Another question has.
Jordy, is that right? Yeah. Could it be taller than 2-story in that location?
So generally, the maximum height in this part of the city would be 3 stories, but if and when the city was to develop the southern parcel, we'd concentrate the height toward Mason Montgomery and then step it down closer to the residential to be really considerate of the fact that it would be an office next to a residential use.
Thank you. My other question has to do with traffic, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about traffic. That Freedom Way, I think, is called a collector street. That's the way it was designed.
Correct.
And I'm just wondering if there's a way of changing that away from being a collector street when you rezone this thing? Because right now, all those houses that are just to the east of Freedom Way, which are called neo-traditional houses, they all have short sidewalks that lead right out to that street. It's just a community street. Kids play around there. They've got bikes on the street. They go around the roundabout. And of course, right now, there's not that much traffic. Once you add 2,000 cars a day into this area where the retail is and so on, I expect there's going to be a lot more traffic, but I want to try to find a way to keep the traffic away from our neighborhood. And now Freedom Way is going to be placed between 2 neighborhoods, 2 sister neighborhoods, some of which have the front doors right on Freedom Way, and some of which have their backyards right on Freedom Way. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm just appealing to you to find some way of routing the traffic away from Freedom Way as much as possible. And maybe there's a way of doing that, putting up some sort of directive to people that are coming through. I'm sure what'll happen is, because there's only going to be one light, if I got the story right, on Veterans Parkway and Mason Montgomery Road. If there's only one light, and if the light turns yellow, people are going to want to try to find some other way to get out. But they're going to turn around, they're going to come back down Veterans Parkway, they're going to go around the roundabout, and they might not even stop there. They might just keep going right down Veterans Parkway into Alberta, or they're going to turn left. I expect there'll be, there's going to be trucks and things pulling into all of those restaurants and the specialty retail. So now you're going to have trucks going up and down Freedom Way, and it's just a neighborhood street is really all it is. And I just have the feeling that it's going to change the whole tenor of the neighborhood just by keeping that as a collector street. So if you can change that part of it and just direct people in and out of that area, those 2,000 extra cars, direct them some other way, I'm sure all the people in Alberta would appreciate it, and probably also the people that are going to be on public street number 2 or whatever that is. But that's all I had to say about traffic. We're just trying to get the traffic away from Freedom Way. Only one comment about the hotel. I'm sure that all the developers are going to want to maximize the property. What I'm hoping Mason does is want to optimize the property. There's a difference. You can maximize it by you can make it 12 stories. You can maximize it even more. But I don't think that will fit. And I remember at a previous meeting, someone was talking about the 5-story building that's across the street there, referring to the spire on Hope Church. There's no comparison to anything on that corner with a 5-story building. That, if you remember that corner, across the one street, there's expanse of front section to where Hope Church is. And then there's another church over on the other property that comes all the way up, a large church. And then across the street is the Lexington Park area. There's nothing like that, that's all. I guess what I'm saying is that it might be better optimization not to make it 5 stories. I heard at a previous meeting that someone said something effective, it's either 5-story, you got to have 100 keys or it's out, something like that. That sounds like a negotiating point to me, and I hope you do negotiate it. If you look up, as I did, a website called lesboutiquehotels.com, I'm probably mispronouncing that, you'll find a page which answers questions about the typical size of a boutique hotel. It says this, quote, boutique hotels are usually small in size, anywhere from around 10 to 100 rooms, max 150 rooms. Plus, there are also suites available on the property also. They're usually more intimate compared to other hotels, making its service more personal than ever. Nevertheless, many outstanding boutique hotels have been less than even 30 rooms, close quote. I'm not recommending they have only 30 rooms, but I am recommending you try to optimize the property and maybe reduce the elevation of the hotel. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak either for or against this ordinance? Okay. I think if that's it, I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:12 p.m. And I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Okay, council discussion, please. Anyone?
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Hackey.
I would just like to address a couple of the comments from tonight. So as most of you know, I am on Planning Commission. We've had several discussions about this property. So with regard to the height of the hotel, yeah, that is a big concern, and I understand that. But one of the comments, I'm sorry, Mark, I've forgotten your last name. Davidson? Is it? Davis, sorry. I will remember that from this day forward. One of the comments that he made was, if you look at the Luxottica building, this proposed building is not much larger than that. So what I did is not much taller. I went over and I looked at the Luxottica building intentionally to see how this presents in the community. It's right up against that other neighborhood. We actually looked at buying a home in that neighborhood when we first moved here, and it was a concern. Didn't stop us from buying it, but when you look at that, it's a very nicely placed building. It looks very nice. It's not overwhelming. It doesn't tower like it sounds like it might. So from that observation, and as well as looking at the plan, when you look at the plan here, the orientation of the hotel is that it is not parallel with the street, but that it's angled. So when I considered that, and I considered the size of the building and looking at the Luxottica building, this just makes sense for this type of a development. I think it's perfect. I don't think the size is going to be overwhelming. It's not up against residential, so I don't see that as an issue. So personally, I am very much in favor of this plan as it's drawn. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the city. I do understand and I do appreciate your concerns on traffic. The Freedom Way was brought up, and I know there was some talk about some concessions potentially to try and help alleviate some of the concerns with that. But I think this is a great opportunity for the city, so I am very much in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any other council member want to make a comment?
Mayor,
Yes.
I mean, just a few questions if I can. On the northeast side of the property, as I'm looking at it, against Freedom Way, there's a 50-foot setback. Against Western Row, there's a 50-foot setback. But then against that property that's right there, that gentleman that came up and spoke about that, it drops to a 40-foot setback. Was there any discussion on that in Planning Commission? I didn't see any notes in regards to that piece of it as to why the reduced setback there.
I can answer that.
Any clarity there? Yeah, please.
Yeah, in the PUD regulations where it's like uses, so residential against residential, the setback is 40 feet. Where it's a business or more of an industrial use against residential, it's 75. So where this is basically a residential house against a residential house, it's just a standard 40-foot setback.
Okay, and if I'm reading that correctly, those are single-family homes.
Yes.
In that kind of lighter yellow. Is that right? Okay. And then for the final PUD, I know it mentions that they address the architecture, lighting, pedestrian amenities, but the buffering and landscaping will be brought up then in the final PUD as well. So there's a potential that there could be some, because I see some of it obviously on here in the concept along Freedom Way, but again, as it gets up towards that northeast corner, it kind of goes away. So that's something that could be brought up at that point. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate that.
Okay, is that it? Okay.
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Thank you. Freedom Way, I appreciate your concerns that you raised, sir. Oh, where did he go? Oh, thank you for that and your thorough explanation of your concerns. Oh, and I see your wife back there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Wilson. On Freedom Way, are there, and I apologize that I don't know this, will you be widening that at all at this point? I haven't been in the Planning Commission meetings on this topic, or will the road remain precisely the way it is now? The road, Freedom Way along the residential area there.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any changes to Freedom Way at all. Even the medians, I believe, are all in place. There's that Public Street B will be added to Freedom Way, but other than that, Freedom Way is constructed as a collector street, as the resident said.
Okay. Yeah, I can appreciate their concern because that's such a big change. And then the other streets are, much narrower. Had there ever been any discussions of widening any of the interior streets, the Public Street C, or?
You're saying to help?
Just to kind of encourage traffic flow to go through the middle instead of all the way over to Freedom Way on the ingress and egress from the development?
No, we've looked at the plan as Veterans Parkway and Freedom Way as collector streets to serve to move traffic as they were intended, is how we looked at the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those were my primary concerns. I do appreciate you. I agree with Mr. Hackey. I love the way the hotel is angled and set back from the lake, and I think it will look very fine there, even at 5 stories. I think it will look like it belongs, and I'm excited about the rest of the usage. I think it will be an optimized use of the land and the many years of planning that have gone into this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment?
Mayor, if I could just maybe ask Kurt, this may be helpful to some discussion. Freedom Way, I recall when that was constructed, when Alberta came in, Freedom Way was built anticipating Veterans Parkway. The city even participated to some extent to make sure that was built to accommodate the development that would have to come.
Yep.
So it was, the way Freedom looks today, anticipated what is coming now.
This development, yes. Yep. And our participation was in particular so Freedom Way and Village Lakes Boulevard would line up and match the thoroughfare plan.
Thank you for that.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I just want to say that I think this is this the second or third plan that's been considered on this property? Okay. I know that the previous plan, there was a lot of concerns because the density was too high, right, on the residential, and so it ended up not passing planning commission. Is that correct? I believe, yeah. Okay, and I know that there was some concern about the property owner that spoke back there with the setback, and it was my understanding, what I learned from being in planning commission was the setback was at 75 feet because there was actually going to be a building right up on their property. This plan is different in that there is going to be someone's backyard that's going to be up on this property, and that's why there is the 40-foot setback, because you said that's what the regulation is. And I did ask in Planning Commission if the developer could continue to work with this family and figure out a way to use landscaping if possible, to give them a nice barrier from the other person's backyard, and I think that will happen, hopefully. Also, I know that it's real scary anytime there's big changes, you know, within any area. I think that this is a really nice plan. I think this is really going to do a lot for this area, and I think it's really going to do a lot for our downtown community, because this is going to totally change the traffic as far as the entertainment. Of course, we'll have residential there, the business. I mean, it's going to be so, I think, exciting for this area and what it's going to bring. I think it's going to bring other people into our downtown area, businesses that want to relocate because of the way this is going to look. The gentleman that was talking about the hotel, the maximum is, like, I think you said 100 rooms on the boutique hotels, and that's what this is going to have, correct? It was 25 rooms per floor, I believe, if is what I remember from Planning Commission. That's the concept now, right? And also, I just want everyone to realize we are just voting here on this concept PUD. There's a lot more that will come back to Planning Commission, a lot more that has to be approved by Planning Commission before it will come to council. So this is not a complete, finished, done deal here. People will still have opportunity to come back and talk about what they have concerns about, if there's anything else possibly that can be changed. I don't know if that's always possible, but I want everyone to know this is not over with the vote tonight, if that makes sense. And someone correct me if I'm wrong by me saying that. Okay. I just want everyone to understand that. So if there's anyone else that wants to make a comment, or, okay, so I'm going to ask for the roll call.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Okay, we're on to items 12 and 13. We have ordinance 2022-2. We have a public hearing and also second reading for this. So I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Eric, are you going to read this one, please?
Yes, ready. Amending the zoning code and zoning map of the City of Mason, Ohio to provide for the rezoning of approximately 13.31 acres from R1 single-family residential to R3 single-family residential, located at 6369, 6429, and 6465 Mason Road.
Okay, Kurt, you're going to introduce Jordy?
Still me. Still the city planner. So as Eric mentioned, this is approximately 13 acres of land on Mason Road. It's in between the Whispering Springs and Sunset Ridge subdivision. A rezoning has come before council and planning commission before. That rezoning was smaller lots and more dense than what's in front of you today, and it was not approved by planning commission or city council. So what's in front of you today are 19 single-family homes. The applicant is proposing to rezone it to R3. The minimum lot size for R3 is 15,000 square feet, and that is very comparable to the Whispering Springs subdivision next door. So the proposed density in front of you right now is 1.5 1.4 units per acre, and the surrounding subdivisions are 1.5 and 1.7 units per acre. So Planning Commission did recommend approval of this, and as always, I'm available for any questions, and the applicant is also in the audience tonight.
Did anyone on council want to ask anything of Jordy while she's still at the podium? Okay. So I'm going to open the public hearing at 8:25 p.m., and I'm going to ask if there's anyone in the audience that wants to come to the podium and speak either for or against this ordinance. Yes, sir, please state your name and address.
Hi, I'm the applicant, Matt Maines with Drees Homes, 211 Grandview Drive, Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. I primarily just want to answer any questions if you might have them. Again, we did come before zoning with a different product type, and we really listened through the process, and they really wanted something with the density kind of equivalent to what's around it, and so that's what we're providing here. And, we're just excited to continue to move forward, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. We'll wait till council discussion and see if anyone has questions for you. Anyone else want to get up and speak for or against? Okay, sir, yes. If you'll please come state your name and address, please.
Good evening. I'm Tom Grosscup. I live at 6562 Caddy's Way. Wanted to thank Matt and the Drees Company for coming back with a plan of the lower density. One thing that was discussed, Matt, and the Sunset Ridge residents specifically, it's been discussed that in the perimeter of the land that'll be developed is that we would plant some amount of trees. And there may be some amount of trees that can be kept that are on the existing land right now and could be kept, and that'd be fine. But if it could be written into the plan or shown on the plan so this is documented, so 2 or 3 years from now, when the houses when they're all up, and I'm not sure how long it'll take, if it's written into the plan so it's not forgotten about. I know the residents that back up to that land, they'd appreciate it. Because right now their backyards, they look into all open area. And they knew the land, all of us knew the land would be developed. But if there could be some separation just with trees that would be planted, it would help those residents not to be looking at just the brick of the house behind them. So that was the request, if we could have it written into the plan that they would plant some number of trees, maybe see it on the plan. Also on this plan, Matt, you don't show any retention pond. If that can be shown also on the latest plan and maybe the size of the retention plan. What's been talked about a lot also is all of the water, sometimes we have very hard rains for a long amount of time. There's a lot of runoff that goes into the pond in Sunset Ridge. We've got a little bit of a silt issue now. It's not severe. It's something that the residents of Sunset Ridge will have to take care of in the future. So if the retention pond can be shown on the plan, Matt, and again, you're written into the plan, Drees's, I'll say, commitment to plant trees along the perimeter of the land where the homes back up to it right now. That's all I have. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward, please?
Hi, my name is Mark Nyer. I live in Whispering Springs neighborhood, and just want to reiterate the desire for making sure that there's trees and green space all the way around. The property right now there's a really nice natural area that's back there. I'm a little bit concerned about the development, getting rid of a bunch of these old trees, so ideally the plan could reflect that. I know that this gentleman already said it. I just wanted to reiterate my request for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, please come forward. Please state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Vera Long. I live in Whispering Falls, which is adjacent to Whispering Springs, but my question is, has the drainage issue been substantially addressed?
The reason that the first Dries plan was not approved, one of the main reasons, I should say, other than the density, is my understanding, is the drainage problem, which comes from Whispering Springs into this property and then on into Sunset Ridge. That's the question.
The proposal today is just a straight rezoning, so it's not a PUD plan. I think some of the comments regarding trees and stormwater are more geared towards a concept PUD, which was the previous proposal. This is a straight zoned property, so if this rezoning is approved, then they would move on to the design stage, and we would take a look at those stormwater items and see where we could protect trees and things like that. So.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I think not. Okay, so I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:30 p.m. And I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading, please.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, council discussion, please? Yes.
Mayor?
Councilmember Chan.
Yeah, I think we see the landowner, the developer, and some of the residents of the contiguous. And that, you guys did exactly what we suggested last time, is to go back, understand what we can do with the density issue. And I understood it at that time, but it's just encouraging that we went through that process. You guys sharpened your pencil, per se, and figured out a plan at least to get this thing rezoned to make, and it all boils down to financial sense for everybody. So I think it's, we went from impasse to discussions to committee meetings to being able to see this back up here today. And that's, I think that's the process, and I think we followed the process, and it worked out pretty well. So I just wanted to, kudos to Dries Homes, to the landowners and the residents to work together and figure out a solution. So I was just happy to see that.
All right, thank you. Anyone else who want to make a comment? Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
I too would like to thank Mr. Maines from Dries and the neighbors who were very active in this, and the property owners and the committee who at the time, I think it was the Public Works Committee maybe, they met with all the parties and they really worked through this. So I'm very pleased to see that you have come up with an alternate plan, and I wish you all the success in the world.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Is that it? Okay, I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're on to items 14 and 15. Ordinance 2022-3, it's a public hearing and a second reading. So I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Eric, please.
Amending the zoning code and zoning map of the city of Mason, Ohio to provide for the rezoning of approximately 5.81 acres from I-1 light industrial to B3 road service commercial, located at 4230 US 42.
Okay, and it looks like Jordy's going to discuss. Thank you.
Last time you'll see me tonight, I promise. So as Eric mentioned, this is a proposed rezoning. This lot was actually part of the larger industrial lot with Chris Carter's property on the right-hand side here, and it was recently split to allow for this rezoning. And so the applicant is proposing a rezone it to B3, which is a commercial district. Our comprehensive plan does identify this as industrial. However, immediately to the north and west, it identifies commercial properties, and it does identify some of the major intersections around it, specifically 741 and 42, as a pedestrian node. So while this particular property is industrial, it's really focusing on commercial around and bringing commercial to this area. So because of that, Planning Commission did recommend approval of the rezoning. The one other thing that I'll just mention is the property here is outlined in red, and that southwest portion of the property that's striped in the blue and red is a floodplain. And so no matter what the property is zoned, nothing can be constructed in that floodplain. So for those homes directly to the south, it is providing a really nice natural buffer between any proposed commercial use and the property. And as always, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Jordy. I'm going to open the public hearing at 8:34 PM and ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak either for or against this ordinance. No one? Okay, well, I'm going to close the public hearing at 8:34 PM. Or no, it's 8:35. Okay, a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? None? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Okay, on to Ordinance 16, Ordinance 2022-9. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Eric?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a service agreement in the amount of $8,000 with Women Walking West.
And I believe you're going to discuss it? Okay.
This ordinance was originally considered at our previous meeting, was then tabled to allow the Finance Committee time to look at to meet with Women Walking West, to look at their year-end financials for 2021, which did occur. Just by way of quick review, because I know there were some questions, Ms. Hagan, I think. What the city has had a policy in years past for contributions to local organizations. In more recent years, that has been modified to a service agreement where the exchange is looking at services that group can provide to the city, and then the city compensating them in exchange for those services. It still has some of the elements of the earlier city contribution policy, that's namely a 2-for-1 contribution ratio, so the city is never contributing more than a third of a potential organization's budget, as well as typically a cap of about $8,000 on those organizations. However, the emphasis is increasingly on that exchange of services, and that is demonstrated in the service agreement that we discussed at the last meeting. Since then, one item that was brought up, often in these, the city looks for things that are of value to the city in terms of the exchange. One item that's included in this is in some of our other agreements is $1,000 in-kind contribution. So that $8,000, $1,000 of it is not necessarily in cash, but in services the city can provide. In this instance, that is both the community center and the golf course, because we have an interest in making sure those are promoted, especially to different audiences, and potentially as a recruitment tool for membership. That is not necessarily for just a one-year membership for a person. That's basically, think of it as a credit amount. More typically in these type of things, it would be, in this case, maybe a woman that was being mentored, new to the country and the culture, may be encouraged to attend a class or to have a week pass, something to be exposed to the community center and to some of those services. That way it would be parceled out to multiple folks. I've never seen this used simply as a one-year membership for anyone. So that's part of the value exchange in the service agreement. That being said, the Finance Committee did meet with Women Walking West and their financials, did discuss some of the unique elements of Women Walking West business plan, and did recommend untabling this, placing on the agenda now for approval by City Council.
All right, thank you, Eric. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, I need a motion to adopt.
So moved?
Okay, council discussion, please. Anyone?
Mayor.
If I may, yeah, thank you. And I appreciate what Mr. Hanson brought up. He talked a lot about the things that we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting. We asked some questions. I had a discussion with some of the concerns that were brought up at the previous meeting. They've got a large balance of cash, what that's used for. A lot of that is dictated by the donors, that it can't be used or only used for certain purposes or until it gets to a certain amount to create more of an endowment for that. So a lot of those funds are, they can't use for what they're, what our funds are going for anyway. And a couple things that we talked about, because there were a lot of concerns that were brought up in the meeting as well. And so we asked them about that, but how is Mason, or how are Mason residents directly benefiting from this? And Dr. Say brought up the fact there's 17 residents right now that are mentees. There's 20 residents that are mentors. The mentors are volunteers. However, the mentees do cost about $550 per year. So even that's roughly a little over $9,000 that they're spending on just the mentees there. And they did talk about, and I thought that this was really beneficial, but they provide some diversity training within the city for city staff at the community center. We have a very diverse community. That was something that was brought up in the finance committee as well. And that diversity training was extremely beneficial as well. So we wanted to make sure, and that's in the service agreement. This new service agreement is moving forward too. So, and then we talked about the issues with in the past, maybe not, the concerns about why maybe there wasn't 4 diversity classes, but only 2 held, or those types of issues. COVID obviously came up as an issue or a concern that should be alleviated moving forward, so we should be able to get some more benefit from that as well. So overall, the Finance Committee at the end felt comfortable moving forward with this service agreement. So,
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment? Yes, Councilmember Nelson, or Vice Mayor, I should say, Nelson.
Thank you. So my issue was that I was concerned with, and I'm looking at 2019 numbers because 2019 numbers are more accurate than 2020. But in 2019, they had approximately $140,000 of revenue, and they only spent $8,080 on the ladies who this charity is supposed to benefit, and that's 0.058%. I just don't feel like they're spending enough on these ladies. 87,000 of their 140,000 was raised through, I believe, their gala. So those wouldn't have any kind of requirements or any reason for them not to be able to spend that. So, it's a great organization. We have funded them in the past. I'm going to say no, just in hopes that they will, going forward, they will spend more money towards the women that this organization is supposed to support. So that's why I'm voting no.
Okay, anyone else want to make a comment?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, Councilmember Bradburn.
I'm glad Councilmember Nelson brought it up. I have to admit, I was really shocked at the balance. It was over $600,000, as I recall. I think the intentions are good, but I just don't know why an organization that has those type of resources that we need to go ahead and, at this point in time, until maybe some further discussion as far as making the donation amount of $8,000. I will be voting no, too.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a question in the Finance Committee members. You may be able to answer this. And Mrs. Hagan expressed a concern that these are international students. I was under the impression, and I think I'm correct on this, that they are legally immigrating residents, or they've already legally immigrated. Are they strictly international students, or some of them that are being served in Mason? Do you have any idea?
Mayor, may I?
Yes, May. Mm-hmm.
Correct. That was one of the questions that we brought up, and it was anyone who is essentially born outside of the United States but is here legally is who could apply. Women, strictly, obviously women. So yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So to clarify, they're foreign born, but they're here legally, whether they've fully immigrated or are in the process of immigrating, and the mentorship program helps them integrate more successfully and pursue their educational goals, and whether that's finishing high school or higher education. And it looks like, if I just reviewing for myself, 17 mentees were Mason residents, and then 20 mentors. Okay. And then the large balance is is earmarked for their endowment threshold so that they can invest that and earn operational money from the interest on the endowment fund. Correct? Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing up your concerns, Mrs. Hagan. I really appreciate it.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I can just add just one more,
Yes.
I guess, clarifying thing is that they did talk about there's two kind of goals that they have, and the first is to provide diversity training within the city, but also then educate those mentees on U.S. culture as well. So almost integrating them more into our society as well and our culture. So.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Hackey, did you have something?
Just a quick question, if I could. Do we know what their financial goal is for the endowment? Do we know, is it $1 million? Is it $2 million? Do we know what that number is?
Mayor?
Yes.
There was a number thrown out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was $1 million to get to their endowment to function just as Councilmember Grossman mentioned. But, you know, the big part is Councilmember Strickler just brought it up for me is it's an opportunity. You know, I've been in Mason for a long time, since 1980. So we've seen a different landscape. And this gives an opportunity for people to assimilate. And, you know, for me, you know, I think it's, the fact out there is that there's 72 different languages spoken at our high school. And, you know, I see this opportunity, and this is, we got to look at this from kind of a different lens of traditional nonprofits as well. You know, a lot of them have a lot of overhead, a lot of operating expense, payroll, all your traditional even business expenses, but they have all volunteers. So a lot of people look at, you know, to Councilmember Nelson's point, you know, their operational cost is, or their expenses are very, very low. And, you know, I can look at that two different ways. And one way I'm thinking, good job. You know, that's what you should do and be good stewards of that. So, you know, for that, you know, we did scrutinize it. And Dr. Sahi was in there, and he answered I think our questions extremely adequately in regards to what are they doing, why they're doing it, and how it benefits Mason. And I just think it's an opportunity for us to reach that population, and it's you know, I think it's you know, good work. I think they do a good work of mentoring these people for assimilation. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to make, yes?
Yeah, Mayor, just, and I echo the thank you to Councilmember Stricula and the rest of the Finance Committee, because this was a concern for me. I had big concerns with what appeared to me to be us just making a donation to go into a bank account for an organization, but being able to clarify the value. And the service agreement part of this is really kind of what really hit home for me. You know, the work that this organization is doing to help these people, like Councilmember Chance said, you know, acclimate, however you want to phrase it, become a part of our culture, and be productive and be very successful. I think is very important. The diversity training piece of that as well for the city, I think, is good. So, you know, I was a no coming into this, but understanding those facts, I'm going to vote yes for this. So thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
Mayor, thank you so much for another chance, because there was something I had forgotten. I wanted to thank our resident for expressing her concern about donating money to nonprofits too, because it's public money and those are private organizations. It's been a long-standing practice in Mason to do that. And just a few years ago, in the last election, in the last 4 years, I'm not sure exactly when, but we modified this charitable giving program, and in the past, we did still have the same standards of the 2-to-1 match and the $8,000 cap, and then we capped it annually at the annual budget for those nonprofits. So if that makes sense, some years we capped it at $40,000 total contributions, or $50,000 or $60,000. And I can't remember off the top of my head what that cap is this year. And then per organization, the cap was $8,000. But we made a change from just giving a donation without really knowing a whole lot about what those organizations do to service agreements. And we felt like that was a really good compromise because we had people expressing your very same concern, and I had that concern too. And so I wanted to thank you for bringing that up as well so we could address it as time goes on. It wouldn't be common knowledge for the public, even though we know a lot about it. And just to add a little bit of affirmation to Mr. Hackey's comments and Mr. Chance, I believe it does provide an appropriate public service to help these women pursue their educational goals, because overall our society improves when we're literate and educated. And of course we also have a great deal of diversity in Mason, and we celebrate that here as well through this contribution. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Eric, yes.
And this is more of a clarification to an earlier question, but I want to make sure it's out there. Councilmember Hackey asked about what their target is, and I'm not quite certain their target, but I think it's important to understand they also have several funds. It's not just one fund. They're trying to raise one endowment. They discussed they have some number of restricted funds. So, for example, a family may donate dollars, that's revenue, but they may put a restriction on it that it can only be spent for maybe someone from their home nation, or it can only be spent once it reaches a certain level. So there's a number of endowments. That revenue's all coming in, but all those pockets aren't necessarily cash they can spend. They have their own restrictions. So that may be relevant.
Okay, anyone else want to make a comment? Okay, I just want to say that Vice Mayor Nelson, I appreciate your concerns, and I've had some of those concerns in the past as well, but I do trust the members of our Finance Committee to look at this and vet it out and talk to Dr. Seed so that they figure out what's going on with the program. I do think going forward in the future, we need to really make sure that the monies are being spent appropriately for these women. I love that we do the service agreement now with these nonprofits, because it does make a difference. They, in turn, provide a service to the city of Mason in many different ways. And I think that is very important that we emphasize that. Also, I want to just mention this again. A lot of people forget this is a 2-to-1 match. So they're not automatically given the $8,000 unless they can match the money 2-to-1. So, it's not every program that has come before us have gotten the full amount that we authorized for them. So they still have to continue to show that they can raise that money themselves. So going forward, I do want to continue that we look at their financials, as you guys have done. I am going to support it for tonight, but I do want us to continue to, I don't want to use the word scrutinize because that doesn't sound very nice, but I want to continue to look at it and make sure that they are using the money appropriately for the women that it's intended for. Okay, so I think we're ready for roll call.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
No.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
No.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Okay, on to Ordinance 17. Item 17, I'm sorry. Ordinance 2022-29. Motion to read by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Eric?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into contracts with various vendors in an amount not to exceed $39,000 per month for citywide janitorial services.
Okay. Jennifer?
Mayor, members of council, the city is seeking janitorial services for a number of city facilities, including the municipal center, the community center, the aquatic center, the office area of the water reclamation plant, as well as the office area of our service center. Combined, that's about 160,000 square feet. It is critical to secure janitorial service for a number of reasons, but it helps us prevent the spread of germs, it prolongs the life of fixtures, and it helps reduce replacement and maintenance costs. Many of our facilities are now almost 20 years old. The city currently uses Envision cleaning, and we have done so for a number of years with very minimal increases to that contract. That contract did expire December this past year. Envision has agreed to monthly extensions until the contracts are secured. Securing janitorial services for the city has been very challenging over probably the 20 years I have been here. It's very difficult. Probably number one is that our square footage
isn't of interest to some of the larger cleaning companies, and to the smaller ones, we're just too big for them. In addition, we have a wide variety of services from, like I explained, the water reclamation plant to the municipal center to the new aquatic center, just very differing. We also have varying operating hours at these locations. Some of our facilities have private partnerships within them, making it a challenge to decipher which areas are the city's cleaning responsibilities and what might be our private partners. And not all of our facilities are located in centralized area. You have to travel out. Our water reclamation plant is out at Mason Morrow, Mill Grove Road. The service center is at State Route 741. So we have looked at ways to try to control our costs internally. Probably one of the most significant is the fact that our janitorial services does not empty individual waste cans or recycling cans from workspaces of our employees. Our employees take their waste and recycle either on a daily or weekly basis to centralized locations. And then from there, it's taken out to the dumpster. So we're always looking for unique or different ways to try and control those costs. However, with this contract or with this RFP that we did anticipate significant increases coming our way. We've added facilities, we've added employees, and just the economic environment we're currently in with staffing and many companies struggling to find the staff needed for their operations. In November, we let an RFP. We had to 10 vendors that over the years had sought interest in providing services to us. We offered up an informational meeting where the vendors could come in and learn more about the facilities and what the expectations were for us, for cleaning our facilities. 3 companies participated in those informational meetings. Only 2 provided quotes, and both those quotes had significant price increases. The city chose to reject all proposals, and we reached out to our vendors to try to learn more about what was maybe prohibiting them from giving us a proposal. Most significant of those inhibitors were some bond requirements, and after speaking with legal counsel, the city was able to remove some of those requirements. In December, we let out a new RFP to the 10 vendors. 3 companies attended the informational meeting. 3 provided proposals, but again, there was significant price varying between those 3 proposals. So we took a step back and figured, what can we do? How can we look at maybe doing something differently, or what we needed to be able to services all of our facilities? This ordinance will provide a contract with multiple vendors. This would give the city the opportunity to work with a number of vendors, and for those vendors to get an opportunity to work with us, better understand the needs here. It also gives us an opportunity to evaluate how each vendor would perform, and then while we continue to explore options. If a vendor isn't performing well, then we can always discontinue that service, and one of the vendors that is performing well could provide those services to that facility. So with that, ordinance 2022-29 is recommended for adoption. I'm happy to answer any questions for you.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? A motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? I think it's kind of ironic as we're sitting here discussing this, we've got did you just say that? The person right across the hall is cleaning that room over there, so. All right, let's have a roll call.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth.
Yes. Item 18, ordinance 2022-30. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
Moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
And Eric, I think you're going to read this.
Authorizing the construction of a dumpster enclosure at the Safety Service Center Annex by J Construction Company, Inc., and authorizing the city manager to execute contract documents.
Okay, Kurt.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. At the Safety Service Center Annex, we have a dumpster that's too small for us and does not have an enclosure. So quite simply, what this does is build a larger dumpster enclosure that we can put a larger dumpster in and help it get closer to compliance with our landscaping and zoning code. So we're we're doing what we require all other businesses to do in the city. So with that, J Construction is a contractor that did the dumpster enclosure at McKeno and most of the masonry work. So with that, this ordinance is recommended for adoption.
Can you say that sentence like 10 times real fast? Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
A motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I would just like to say thank you to Kurt for making sure that we do what we expect everyone else to do. That's
We
a
try.
really good way to
Try.
operate. So thank you.
Lead by example.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Okay, item 19, ordinance 2022-31. A motion to read by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, Eric?
Authorizing the acceptance of certain donated easements and the acquisition of other certain easements as part of the State Route 741 Cocksmith Road to Spyglass Hill Improvement Project.
Okay, Kurt?
Yes, thank you. This is part of the ODOT required process for the federal funding. We have finalized the right-of-way plans. We need 15 temporary construction easements on 13 different parcels, and then just one permanent easement, a storm sewer easement on one parcel. The existing right-of-way that was established back in the 80s was significantly wide enough, so we need very little easements on this project, which is nice for a change. So with that, we did have $500,000 in the budget. We weren't sure how much right-of-way we would need on the project. These ordinances total just over $25,000. So this would allow, the next step would be with these appraisal reviews have already happened. So 2 different appraisers have looked at them. Next step would be for the ODOT certified negotiator to start to approach the property owners and acquire the easements necessary for the project. So with that, ordinance 2022-31 is recommended for adoption.
All right, thank you, Kurt. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, motion to adopt.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Chance?
Yes.
Okay, item 20, ordinance 2022-32. Motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Eric?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Lichtenberg Landscaping for landscaping replacement, the Mason Veterans Memorial, in an amount not to exceed $40,000 and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Jennifer, I think you're going to discuss actually the next 2 ordinances together.
Yes, I would like to, Mayor. Members of council, throughout 2021, the Veterans Board has been discussing improvements to our Veterans Memorial located just outside the Municipal Center. The memorial was dedicated in 2003, and it will celebrate its 20th anniversary next year. This past year, the board did move forward with a number of improvements, including the addition of a Purple Heart and Gold Star family flags to the front of the memorial, locating a Space Force flag alongside the other flags representing the branches of the military, as well as adding a Never Forget garden along the walkway leading to the memorial. And in December, council approved ordinance 2021-132, authorizing a piece of granite for the new Gold Star Family Memorial that will be located between the Never Forget garden and the memorial itself along that same pathway. Work on the final design of the Gold Star Family Memorial does continue. The board also has reviewed lighting, landscaping, and concrete work needed at the memorial. The original landscape lighting is ground units that often fill with moisture and then they quit working. In fact, they probably haven't worked, many of them probably haven't worked in a number of years. Concrete has lifted and cracked in a number of areas along the memorial, creating tripping hazards. Lighting is also needed for the American flag outside of the front of the memorial, and the landscaping has outgrown the memorial and its life. Ordinance 2022-32 and 33 authorizes replacement landscape and lighting. The city anticipates the concrete work would be performed in-house.
An emergency clause has been added to these ordinances so the city can work with contractors to get the work scheduled before the start of the busy spring season. So we do expect there may be significant delays. We've had a difficult time even getting quotes for some of this work and getting contractors to respond for us, but we'd like to get these ordinances in place so we can hopefully get on the top of their list of scheduled work for the spring and then throughout the summer, maybe even fall. So working with that, ordinance 2022-32 and 33 is recommended for adoption. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, motion to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, council discussion? Anyone? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Yes.
Okay, on to item 21, which is ordinance 2022-33. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, Eric, going to read it.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Richards Electric for replacement lighting materials at the Mason Veterans Memorial in an amount not to exceed $20,000 and declaring an emergency.
Okay, and Jennifer has just discussed that, so I'm going to move on to a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, any council discussion?
Mayor,
Yes,
if I may,
Councilmember
I just
Stricula.
want to express my thanks to the Veterans Board for their work over the last, well, couple years, really, and even now into this year already. And the emphasis that we're putting on this memorial, fixing it up, cleaning it up, it means a lot, and I know it means a lot to the veterans in the community as well. So thank you, and we've got a visitor back there in the back that's been instrumental in making this happen, so I appreciate his work as well. Thank you, Mr. Looker. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
All right, item 22, we're on to committee reports. Did anyone have a committee report they would like to make?
Mayor,
Yes.
I already did the report earlier,
Okay.
but I just wanted to say that we met on the 1st of February, and we covered everything already.
And who met? The
Sorry.
Finance
Finance
Committee.
Committee.
There we go. Okay, thank you. Okay. Anyone else want to make a, yes, Councilmember Bradburn.
Safety Committee met since the last council meeting. We discussed several items. One, which I think was in the council's packet, was that the Campus Safety Summit, which is going to be held, I don't have the sheet right in front of me, soon. Mr.
I
Hanson?
think it's the end of March, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Monday, March 21st, beginning at 6 p.m. at the high school.
At the high school. And also discussed Warren County Drug Task Force will be in, probably, I can't remember his rank, Aerosmith?
Commander.
Commander. He will be in. As you recall, we did go ahead and put in the budget money for that needed organization, and unfortunately, we have houses that, what do I want to say, need their visits. We'll leave it at that, okay? The other one of the other ones, obviously, Ordinance 2020-30 was briefly discussed as far as the Safety Service Center. And then we also kind of got into some discussion in regards to the fire department and stations and stations locations. We will be having more detailed analysis with the fire chief as far as needs. I think one of the things that came out of that meeting was there were some studies done 10 years ago, Mr. Hanson, would you say?
15.
15 years ago? Yeah, okay. Time flies when you're having fun. Okay. I call it the matrix studies, but there were a number of studies. It had to do with location of stations. But I think one of the things that came out of the meeting that I remember our fire chief telling us, when that study was originally done, we were doing 2,500 runs a year. Now we're up to 4,500 runs a year. So we're going to have to go ahead and take a look at that and see how we're going to go ahead and service the public the best we can with our fire services. I think that was about it. Mary, you're on that committee. Any?
No, I think you covered, and I think one thing everyone needs to remember also, that our fire department not only covers our residential homes, but our businesses that are in town, and as we continue to expand with businesses, that's also something we have to consider when we're looking at whether or not we are providing adequate services for them. And I'm very excited about that safety summit. Is that the first time that you've had that? I think everyone, if you can get on the website and look at that, I think that's going to be a really exciting program. It's, is it FBI agent? Is that correct?
Secret Service agent with
okay.
FBI exposure.
Okay.
And that's an initiative our campus safety program actually initiated, and yes, it should be pretty good.
Yeah.
If I may, Mayor, as I had one friend say, well, how can you be in the Secret Service if we know you're in it? Okay. Councilman Hackey, do you remember anything else from the meeting that I may have missed?
That we talked about.
Yeah.
That was, that I thought was very interesting is the potential to go visit the Drug Task Force. We talked about extending the invite to the rest of council. So.
Okay.
I have nothing else.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else have a committee report? Okay, yes, Councilmember Gross.
I do, and thank you, Safety Committee. Member Bradburn has a lot of expertise in this area, so I'm really glad that you guys are working on that analysis for fire and safety. All right, my committee report is the Park Advisory Board this month. And normally, well, I've been to 2 now, and they're very fun. We talk mostly about the community center and then the happenings at the parks, of course. So one thing you may notice that's going to be different at the community center is that the therapy pool is going to be removed, and that is going to be filled in, and there's going to be a normal floor put down, and that room is going to be used for personal training. And the reason they're taking it out is it was deteriorating and causing some maintenance problems. It's extremely expensive to repair, and the city and Tri-Health decided that it wasn't being used enough to justify that expense, so they're going to use the room for a different purpose. We have about 900 to 1,500 guests per day at the community center, which is pretty awesome. Lots of healthy people there. We've gotten some new light fixtures, and repairs continue in the recently flooded offices. There is a big Manta Rays Regional Championship coming up. I believe that's this week, or is it next week?
It was this past weekend and coming weekend.
Okay, so this past weekend and this coming weekend. Okay, so big things happening at the high school with swimming. We're closing in on filling up the pool, the 50-meter pool with water. Is that happening this week?
Every day.
Every day? Have you turned the water on? Okay, great. Great news. We're really looking forward to that opening, and all the council members are coming in their swimsuits to celebrate. No, we're not. I'm just kidding. I would never do that, ever. Okay, a little humor. All right, and then we talked about just the different park improvements going on. The cricket pitch installation continues at Heritage Oak Park, and the fields have been refurbished, so that's going to be open, and there's scheduling, and the baseball fields are already starting to fill up with tournaments, which is exciting. And then we always go around the room and people share anything that they've got an interest in with Park Board. And so I brought up that I would like to introduce an organization to council and to the Park Board, and possibly at a committee meeting. It's called Luke 5 Adventures, and Luke 5 Adventures was born right here in Mason, Ohio, and that is a nonprofit that specializes in bringing the inaccessible and making the inaccessible accessible to people with disabilities. And so they have a very special apparatus they bought from a company in France, and it's a special cart that paraplegics and other people with disabilities, severe medically serious disabilities, can travel on this cart with a team of helpers. They call them Sherpas, and they've been going all over the country, and they're starting other chapters, and it's really exciting. So I know we haven't maxed out our contributions, but we'd like to study this and introduce this organization. They love going to Common Ground, and it's they were given the Governor's Award by the Cincinnati Parks Foundation, and we just didn't really know much about them here in Mason. So we'll be that is coming soon to council. We'll get them here to meet you, and I think staff is working on setting up a meeting with them. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Okay, anyone else have a committee report? Okay, thank you. So we're now to item 23, which is old and new business. Does anyone have any old or new business?
Mayor,
Yes.
okay, I have a number of things. So the White House just released a bipartisan infrastructure law guidebook, which breaks down all the different funding opportunities for the municipality and what they can apply for, who to contact and how to apply. And the guidebook is a roadmap to the funding available under the law, as well as a document that shows the breakdown of federal spending per government program. And it's approximately 700 pages. I downloaded it to a PDF, Eric, and I'll send it to you. But, you know, it has a lot of good stuff in it. I obviously didn't read the whole 700 pages, but I did look through it. And I noticed that they had funding for installing electric vehicle plug-in stations. And I know this is something that Mason has talked about before, but it was really costly. So this is one thing we might be able to get federal funding for. But they also have roads and bridges, major projects, electric vehicles, safety, climate, energy, and environment, human health and human services, and EPA programs, just to name a few that might impact our community. So I'll get this over to you. You can read it in your spare time.
Joe,
All right, so next is House Bill 51. And this was introduced by Senator Blessing. He is the chair of the Senate Ways and Means Committee. He's a senator from Hamilton County. He sponsored a bill that was passed by the House and the Senate, which would allow members of the public body to hold and attend meetings via means of teleconference, video conference, and other electronic technology, and that you would be considered present as if the person were in the meeting or hearing. And they shall be permitted to vote, and they are counted as purpose of determining whether a quorum is present at the meeting or hearing. And it's on the governor's desk waiting for approval, but this will go into effect until June 30th. And in the last year or so, I did propose that we adopt this within the city of Mason so that we can do this more often. So I'm going to have legislation to be presented next council meeting on this, so we can vote on it at the city level as well. The Ohio Municipal League has announced dates for their regional conference. They hold 4 one-day conferences in each 4 corners of the state, and Mason is lucky to be one of those locations. This seminar is important because it deals with critical issues facing the Ohio cities and villages. And it's also a great opportunity to learn more about our community and connect with other local leaders. So I highly recommend signing up for the conference. It will be held on June 24th at the Marriott off of Mason Montgomery Road. See Eric if you're interested in signing up. The Warren County Municipal League has this Wednesday, February 16th at 6 o'clock. They have a guest speaker, Neil Tunzen. He's the Warren County engineer, and will be giving updates on issues around Warren County and with critical projects on roads and bridges. I want to say congratulations to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library Program. They have enrolled 1,272 Mason children into the Imagination Library Program, and their goal is to enroll 2 out of every 3 eligible Warren County children during 2022. That means approximately 1,200 more children under the age of 5. After signing up, the child will receive a free book each month. So it's a great program. If you know anyone with little children, or if you have them yourselves, you can sign up, and you can go to the website ohioimaginationlibrary.org or contact the Mason Public Library. They can give you information on it. So congratulations to them. And on Saturday, I had the pleasure of attending the Mason Symphony Orchestra performance, Romance in Rio. And I have to say, it was marvelous. I was absolutely blown away. The feeling of the community just filled the room. It's a newly created orchestra, and it's the brainchild of Dr. Lucy Ginther, who lives here in Mason. It consists of professional musicians who are donating their time to the orchestra. The night consisted of romantic music, samba dancing, martial arts demonstrations, and teachings of the Brazilian culture. During intermission, you could purchase a small plate of some Brazilian cuisine. The event was packed, and it really just goes to show and prove something that I've been saying for years, and is that there is a growing enthusiasm for participating and appreciating the arts here in Mason. And this event is exactly what Mason needs. And there is another performance, I think it's May 7th. So I will be updating everybody on that. I highly recommend going to it. And I think the time is now really to start supporting the arts within our community. Our community is strong because of our different cultures that we have, arts, and the talents of individuals that are ready to entertain and uplift us. I love celebrating and promoting the arts and different cultures within our community. It just enriches the community in which we live. Now, with that being said, the Mason Arts Council came to us a few years ago, and they are planning to build a $30 million performing arts center here in Mason. And after much discussion within the Arts and Cultural Committee, I would recommend a motion to identify the Gould property as the city's preferred site for the future of the Regional Arts Center, as proposed by the Mason Arts Council, and I'm directing city staff to develop agreements helpful to pursuing the partnership. And this will help them to start fundraising as they invest in the arts infrastructure within our community. So I'd like to make that motion.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Do we have council discussion? Okay, let's have council discussion then. Is there anyone that would like to comment? Yes.
Yeah, real quick, man, I'll echo exactly what you said. I think it's, we've talked a lot about it, and to some of the points made here tonight, we have, there's been, the process has been followed for this. I think we have the right public-private partnership for this. We've looked at it. We've had analysis done of certain different areas and spots, and I think this is something that we desperately need, and I can't wait to see this thing come to fruition, so I'm certainly going to support this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, council member.
Thanks, Mayor. I think this is a great opportunity for the city. We've looked at properties that are available, and I think the Gould property is ideal for this. It's, like Vice Mayor Nelson said, this is much needed in our community, and I am absolutely 100% behind this. So thanks for making that motion.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes. My apologies. Since I didn't see it in our packet, I didn't expect it to come up in tonight's meeting, the motion to identify the property. I think it's worthwhile, since we touched on this a little bit earlier with the idea of, an endowment fund. And this is a discussion we just haven't had as a council. And so I'd like to get some more details. I mean, we're just identifying the property, but if the Arts Committee could carefully research this and inform council about capital costs versus operational costs. So we were talking about a $30 million facility. So I'm assuming that the $30 million that needs to be raised is $30 million in capital costs. But I'm curious about what is the threshold for an endowment so that it can be self-sustaining with its operational cost. And that is just completely and utterly unknown to us. But I think it's really important because this is going to be, a multi-million-dollar contribution to facilitate this partnership. And it's worthwhile, and I support it, but I want to know that we are mindful of what the operational costs are going to be and how we can protect the taxpayer by being ahead of the issue and understand the amount of the endowment that's also needed with this. And we have, a lot of enthusiasm for this organization. The Mason Arts Council has a board of very special people, and I believe that they can raise this money, but I think we also, are accountable to our taxpayers to be able to answer questions like these. So if you guys could work on that for us and report back to us as soon as you can in the next month or so, that'd be great.
Mayor,
Yes.
this is the very early stages of this, and you are correct. There are, right now, we're just authorizing the city staff to develop agreements with them, but we definitely have a lot, long way to go still with making sure that all the numbers are vetted out and everything's vetted out. There will be a lot of benchmarks that they have to meet at certain times. And so that is something right now that we're authorizing the city to look at and to come up with a plan. And these are definitely things that will be included in that plan. But right now, we would just like to announce that we're identifying the Gould property as the property for the Mason Arts Center.
Can you read your motion again? I want to make sure I'm clear on what
Sure.
the motion says.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion identifying the Gould property as the city's preferred site for the future Regional Arts Center as proposed by the Mason Arts Council, and directing the city staff to develop agreements helpful to pursuing a partnership.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments they want to make? Yes.
Mayor, if I could just add to my commentary before that, so it looks like staff is going to be taking the first whack at this so that we have information about operational costs and the plan to sustain those and what the thresholds should be as we move forward with, the agreement. So we'll set thresholds for capital cost and for endowment cost, or amounts, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So there's that operational component, and then there's that capital component. If council could get information about both as you negotiate that agreement and what the approximate thresholds are.
I'm sure that, and yes, I understand there are the two components. I think the capital piece is what's kind of preoccupied us and will continue to preoccupy us as we try to get some agreement there. I hear the direction, but it doesn't, assuming the motion's adopted. And yes, we don't have the information yet. That I'm sure will be iterative, both with us as well as with the Arts Council on what that operating piece looks like. And there will be a little bit of a, what comes first, what the facility, which is not designed yet, is not architecturally laid out, what all that entails, what phases it may entail that, will then also drive the operating costs. So I feel a little bit completely at a loss on the operating side until you start getting the capital, squared up. And we're just naming the property that you'd like to start investigating that on. So I understand, I hear you. That's going to take some time, I'm afraid.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I just want to say that Councilmember Grossman, you didn't miss it in your packet because we didn't have anything in the packet. And I do think process is very important. I don't want to delay us being able to start the process, and I think that's what this motion would do. But I do think this needs to be vetted in the Mason Arts Council before we continue to, before it's brought back to council for us to consider anything else on that. To make sure that we do have more information. I do think process is very important, and these kinds of things need to go before a committee before they come before council. I'm okay with supporting this tonight because it's just basically agreeing that we're considering the Gould property for future possibility of the arts, I don't know what you're calling it, the arts.
Performing arts.
Performing arts there. So I'm okay with voting for that tonight, but I do want us to vet this out in the committee and bring that back to council. So anyone else would?
Well, if I could just say, and this may be more for the audience's benefit, and maybe it bears hearing the motion again, but all I heard with the motion is identifying a preferred property. And then beginning to try and pursue agreements driving to that property. So I don't think council is making any commitment, obligations, certainly not is conveying any property with that. And we did go through a process, that has been discussed, looking at two different possible sites, what the what the capacities and potential costs of those would be. And what I'm hearing from the motion is preferring one of those. There's a whole bunch that comes before that, and it is true that our partners in this may, they will have some influence in how that goes. You voted to express a preference. You have not yet voted to convey anything, and we don't have the pieces, much less the negotiation of what that could look like. And it will be, there will be layers to that.
And Mayor, this did go through the Arts Committee, just so you know, that it did come, this recommendation did come through the Arts Committee. We did talk about it during the Arts
Okay,
Committee.
well, I still didn't know anything about it beforehand. I'm just saying I would like to have information prior to. So I think we can go ahead and have a motion to adopt. Okay.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Chance.
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else have old and new business? Yes.
If I may, real quick, some of us are sitting up here a little disappointed after last night's game.
Was that directed at?
That was some of us. I'm just saying, not all of us. But we can make light of it. But there was something that I saw that came from this, and it was encouraging. I mean, with all the crap that's going on out there in society, and all this political tension and division, and I saw a city unified, and I saw a city come together, regardless of whatever. There was so much good that came of it, and it was just encouraging to see. And so what I'm saying is that I would love the city of Mason to be a beacon of that, and try to figure out what you have in common with some folks, opposed to what's going to create division. I don't know if it's a sports team, if it's a hobby, or whatever it might be. But I think there's just an opportunity from what I've seen is to move on from this, and to not only move on to this, but grow inside of this, and understand that, it's kind of funny to watch, politics from a macro level, because, all we hear about is all the infighting. But Congress on both sides of the aisle, they agree on 98% of the stuff. It's 98% of the stuff. And we decide to get in the weeds of the 2%. And we all like to throw, all this stuff because you're an R, you're a D, and you find this infighting. And I just would like to say hooday. Good job, Bengals. Way to go. But again, outside of that, it brought an excitement to not only Cincinnati, but all the suburbs, regardless if you're a Bengals fan. And I just want, the city of Mason and our constituents to figure out what are some of the things that we can unite, and opposed to continuously create division out there. So again, disappointed. There was almost a tear shed last night. We had about 50 of us watching it. But super proud of this team, and can't wait to see where we go with it. So again, hooday.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Councilmember Hackey?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for bringing that up, Councilmember Chance. As several of you have seen, my first unofficial date with my current wife was at the last, my current wife, I don't know why I said it that way, but with my wife was 33 years ago, the last time the Bengals were in the Super Bowl. I had a party at my house to watch the game, and that was an excuse to invite Nicole over to eventually invite her out on a date, and we are now married 31 years, and Mr. Dardis from Channel 5 featured that on the news, so we're very disappointed that, like you, that we didn't get a win, but the fact that the Bengals went back to the Super Bowl, there's a lot of positive to that, and very happy about that. So there's that. I also want to give a huge shout out to Sergeant Wells and Officer Wallace from our Mason PD.
I'm sorry, could you say the names again? I couldn't hear it.
Sergeant Wells and Officer Wallace. I got to do the ride-along program. Actually, isn't Officer Wallace out there in the lobby? I got to do a ride-along, and both of them rode along, or took me out for a while. Just super impressed with these gentlemen. They both were just obviously very dedicated to the work that they do to the city of Mason, and I just can't thank them enough for their hospitality and letting me ride along with them on that afternoon. So thanks to them.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
I second the Who Day motion. They may not have won the Super Bowl ring, but they certainly won our hearts. And the leadership of Joe Burrow and the miraculous kicking of McPherson, this rookie, and just their demeanor off the field and on the field, just incredible. And we are so proud to be Cincinnatians because of them. And what a joy it was to watch those games. So I had a couple things planned. One of them is, and it touches on what we were talking about earlier with the downtown district, and it kind of dovetails nicely into what we just talked about with Gould Park. I am wondering the best way to approach really diving deep into roadway and utility studies in the downtown corridor. Now, obviously, with the Keystone Agreement that was repealed by council, we had incorporated those into that agreement, and those would have started. We have the money. It's not terribly expensive. And I'm really heartsick that was repealed because I was so excited about those infrastructure improvements getting started. They take so long. I mean, they take years, and we have all of this growth going on in our northern corridor. We have hundreds of jobs coming to the Research and Development Park, hundreds of millions of dollars in new capital investment. We have the widening of 741, which is great, but 42 just does not function well in that corridor, and I just am so sad that we haven't commenced anything yet. So I'm not sure, Mayor, how you would suggest going about it. Maybe we assign it to a particular committee. Maybe it's downtown, maybe staff, maybe we have a work session on it, maybe staff just gets it started. But so I'm raising the idea to get our staff started on contracting with some professional agencies to study what it would take to bury utility lines and improve the streetscape, especially in that East Main part. But that whole, corridor from the Elbow on up to Heritage Oak Park.
Well, I think that's definitely the downtown committee can take a look at that
At
the next meeting.
It was discussed at length in our last downtown meeting. So obviously that, traffic, parking, that's been a pretty consistent theme here for a long time. So to think we're not going to talk about that.
Well, maybe staff can have maybe something prepared for the next downtown committee or as soon as you can so that you all can talk about that a little bit more and come back and report on that. I think that would be reasonable to do that. Yeah. Okay.
We really just need to get going. And if I may, just one more. What have we communicated with Mr. Cohen? Has he been informed about the repeal of that ordinance? Did staff?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I just have a couple, and I'll try to be brief here. I know we're getting late. One thing I just want to say to our viewing audience, just as a reminder, sometimes it looks like we go through these ordinances pretty quickly, and we don't really have a lot of discussion or questions, and I think most people understand this, but we do our homework before we come to council. Basically, a council meeting is to do the voting, and if we have additional concerns or questions, we can't discuss those. But we get information prior to the council meetings, and we have opportunity to discuss anything that we have concerns over or questions with the city staff. We also have committee meetings where all the hard work is actually done, and we rely on our committees to come back and inform us of what they have found out and what they want to recommend and that kind of thing. So I don't want anybody out there to think that we just willy-nilly just run through these and we don't even know what we're talking about or understand them. One other thing real quick is I really love that we were collecting the canned goods for the Sam Hubbard Foundation. I hope that we can continue to do that in some form or fashion, because I just think that's a wonderful foundation. And also, I want to mention this. Last week when we had the big rain, ice, snow storm, okay, that was such a different kind of snowstorm than we usually have. And I just want to really commend all of the city staff that spent 24/7 making sure that our streets were clean. And I can't mention just specific people, because so many of the staff all work together on that to make sure that we have the ability to get around and get around safely. I know there were some people upset because the end of their driveways were getting blocked up with snow because of the way this year the snow plow, and this particular storm happened. But I got a tip from someone that told me that when you are shoveling at the end of your driveway, shovel it off to the right and not to the left, because then when the plow comes, it'll continue taking it to the right and won't block your driveway if you've taken it to the left. And I thought, I didn't realize that. And I think that was from Miss Jennifer Heft who informed me of that. But also, I do know that the staff tried very hard to get out and help people who are having problems with the piles at the end of their driveway. And I know he's not going to want me to mention this, but I had a citizen contact me on Sunday morning. I guess that was last weekend. Is that last weekend or 2 weeks?
1 week.
But anyway, on Sunday morning with concerns about her neighbor who had health issues, and he had a pretty big pile of snow at the end of his driveway, and it was a safety issue whether or not like emergency vehicles could get down to his house because he had a long driveway. So I contacted our city manager, Eric, and mentioned to him about this concern that this citizen had. And he said, don't, like Eric does, he goes, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Well, I'm thinking he's going to call one of the crew out to go out there and take care of it. So I contacted this person back, and I said, I believe it'll get taken care of today. Let me know if there are any issues if no one comes out there. And she immediately contacted me back, and she said, well, Eric's out here shoveling it himself. I go, what? Yeah, I didn't intend for you to do that, but I just want everyone to know that our city manager very much cares for every citizen in this community, and went out on Sunday morning and shoveled that driveway, I think by yourself, didn't you? Yeah.
There was a truck that came shortly there afterwards.
Well,
It helped out a bit.
I was told you were the one doing all the hard work, and I just want to say thank you to Eric Hansen, thank you to all of our crew and our city staff who just do such a wonderful job for this city. So,
Well done.
He's getting
Well
mad.
done, Eric. Good.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I believe we have a birthday to celebrate tonight. And I think it's Mr. Bradburn, Councilmember Bradburn. So I think we need to sing happy birthday.
I was still happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Tony.
I'm sorry, I don't sing too loud because,
Okay.
I don't have a very good voice. I'm sorry, I'm about to forget. Does anyone else want to get, we have recognition of visitors still. Do we? Okay, please come up, Mr. Looker. I'm sorry. I kind of jumped the gun on the birthday song, but we'll have you come up. Come on up, sir. No one wants to hear me sing too loud, so I turned the mic off.
John Looker, 111 East Main Street, Mason, Ohio. And I've got a couple things I'd like to mention. I know it's getting late, and I'll be as brief as I can. But the first thing is I'd like to thank Eric Hansen and the city of Mason for allowing me to use the chambers here for the American Legion Oratorical Scholarship Program. We had our last Sunday was our county, and for the first time in 10 years, I had a Mason High School student
participate. And he is moving on. We are having our second session this coming Sunday, and it's going to be at 2 o'clock here in Chambers again. And this is going to be the 4th District, which consists of 6 different counties and 39 American Legion posts. The second thing I'd like to mention is we just established a Warren County Veterans and Suicide Prevention Coalition. And right now, I sit on the board of that. And this was our second meeting, and we are trying to establish all of our guidelines and everything to get this started. But last year in Warren County, there were 29 suicides. 5 of those were veterans. So this coalition is set up to not only assist with veteran suicides, but also with regular suicides. So I wanted to mention that. The last but not least, I think you all have a booklet that says 917 Society. What 917 Society is, the Constitution was signed on September 17th, 1787. So this booklet is something that in our Veterans Service or our Veterans Commission meeting, we met the young lady from Nashville, Tennessee, who started this. And they are passing these out to 8th graders. Last year, they passed out 1.5 million to 8th graders in 16 states. This year, they're concentrating on Ohio. We have 3,671 8th graders in Warren County. And my Veterans Services Office, we ordered 4,000 of these booklets to pass out this year. And I've already been in contact with Chris Underwood over here at the Mason Middle School. So as soon as we get those booklets in, we're going to get them out. But what this is they want to recognize September 17th as Constitution Day. So again, this has the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights in this little booklet. So again, I just hope that everybody will support that, and maybe we can get our own Constitution Day here in Mason. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Looker. You always do so much for our community, and we appreciate it, especially for the veterans. You are a true servant. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to come up, please? Okay. I think I need item number 25. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you all for being here. Have a good night.